Hello, welcome to the 3D market commentary today. Today is Monday, April 4th. And let me just put on the disclaimers on the top left-hand side there of the screen. By all means, please read them. If you need to pause the video to do that, please do. Now, the 3D market commentary, for those that don't know, is a video that we do every day, Monday to Friday, to accompany an email that we send our free members to give it a little bit more context. Now, the email that we send has information on major world markets, and we look at 3 statistical elements per market. That's why we call it the 3D market commentary. Now, if you have any questions, if you're obviously watching this recorded and you have any questions about what we cover, or you're confused about anything, there are different places you can go for help. You can email me, Becky@predictive.com. You can email support@predictive.com. You can also go to this link here, which is tradewithufos.com/Becky. That takes you to this link. From this page, you can get different apps and platforms at the top. If you scroll down, there's links to book one-on-one coaching if you'd like. And if you scroll down a bit further, you can log in for free and post a question here. Or you may find from the big list and multiple pages worth of different questions that people have already posted, you may find that the question you have is already here and the answer therefore is already there as well. So different places you can go for help. Okay, so now that we've covered that, let's go and have a look at this email that we send out. So that's the email, and it correlates, of course, to market data. What I'm going to try and do is just switch this over a little bit here, because we want to see more of the chart, of course, and see what's going on. Okay, so I told you that we look at 3 separate statistical elements per market. What are they? So we look firstly at market climate. Now, market climate means where is that market likely to go? Where are the probabilities? Is that market likely to go upwards, downwards, or nowhere? We use an app to help us. It's called AutoClimate. That's a free app on most platforms you can get it on. And what AutoClimate does is it shows us with these different coloured dots where the probabilities lie. So ignore the lines, focus on the dots. If we have a thick blue dot, that tells us probabilities upwards. If we have a thick red dot, that tells us probability is downwards. If we have a thin dot of either colour, that tells us probability is in neither direction. So we'll look at that per market to understand where the likely upcoming market direction is. Next thing we look at is buy and sell UFOs. UFO in this context stands for unfilled orders. Now, what that means is, where do we find buyers that are waiting that could push price up? Where do we find sellers that are waiting that could push price down? And therefore, it gives us an idea of whether or not we should also be buying or selling. So we have these little green UFOs here, using an app here called Auto UFOs that helps us find this. The little green UFOs show us where buyers are. It tells us the prices on the right-hand side as well, in green. The little red UFOs show us where the sellers are, and it tells us the prices on the right-hand side in red. So we'll look at that per market to see where the buyers and sellers are. And then we'll look at market volatility, so the likely movement that we would expect up or down within given periods of time. So we'll look at these things per market, starting with the S&P 500, which is the top 500 US stocks. And that's what we're looking at here. Now, everything we're looking at is looking at a daily chart, daily time frame. Different things happen on different time frames. Everything we're talking about here is relevant to a daily time frame. Okay, so S&P 500, we have a thick blue dot, probability upwards. Now, something to bear in mind, it has gone up for more than it usually would do in terms of the amount of days in a row that it's been that it's had probability upwards. So slightly overextended there. What we also have is sellers very close by. So those sellers are between 46.31 to 45.74.75. So essentially what we have is price pushing up, so probability pushing up at the moment. It's coming from the climate. But we also have very shortly, very soon, we will have sellers pushing down coming from the UFO. So we've kind of got a fight going on. If there's a fight going on, be a pacifist, keep out of it. We don't know which side is going to win. It's more of a what would be the word? It's more of a gamble to try and assume one way or the other. So we want to keep out of that until we have clear probabilities one side or the other. Okay, in terms of volatility, we'd expect movement up or down in 1 year of 20.26%. So in a day, that's 58.03 points. In a week, 127.74 points. And in a month, 265.9 points. So that's movement that we would expect up or down in those given periods of time. So that's the S&P 500, top 500 US stocks. Moving on to the next market, which is oil. Now, just before we analyze oil and have a look at what's going on here, just to highlight up here about the different courses that we offer. So if you feel like you need help in understanding how to trade and how to apply this methodology to futures, stocks or Forex, or if you want to understand trading plans, how to backtest them, or trading psychology, we offer courses in all of those things. Now, most of our courses also come with a 3-month complimentary access to the apps. Now, AutoClimate, which is this one here, is a free app on most platforms. You can use it on anyway. But Auto UFOs, which is this one here that shows you the buyers and sellers, Auto UFOs is a monthly subscription paid for app. Now, depending on which platform you use, depends on how much it costs. But if you get a course, you get 3 months free access to it. So you can subscribe directly to the Auto UFOs. You don't have to do a course in order to use them. But most of the time, it's cheaper to get a course and get 3 months free access to the apps than it would be to simply use the apps for 3 months. So check that out, see what works best for you. Okay, so crude oil, we have a thick red dot, probability downwards. Now, what we do have, similar to the market we previously looked at, but on its head, we have probability pushing down from the climate, but we have buyers right here. So those buyers are between 99.22 to 93.53. They are pushing up. So again, we've got a fight going on. These buyers have already worked. At this point, price came in, hit the buyers, and went up. That's what we expect buyers to do, is push price upwards. Came back down, hit this last week, and is now being pushed back up again. So buyers pushing price up, but the climate pushing price down. So again, not clear probability in either direction, which means no need to do anything. We don't need to be trading markets where we don't have clear probabilities one way or another. In terms of volatility, we'd expect movement up or down in 1 year of 54.36%. In a day, that's 3.38 points up or down. In a week, that's 7.44 points up or down. And in a month, 15.5 points up or down. So that's crude oil. Okay, the next market is going to be gold. So let's load gold. Again, just to highlight here about coaching and support that we offer, we do a bunch of videos and sort of explanatory videos and things like that online for free. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn and all kinds of social media platforms. We also have a closed coaching community, which is a small monthly fee to get access to slightly more resources and live trading videos. So check that out if that's of interest to you. But otherwise, we do offer loads of support and coaching for free online. Okay, gold. Let's squidge this a bit so we can see where the buyers are. So we have a thin dot here on gold. Doesn't matter the color. What that thin dot is telling us is that this market doesn't really know what it's doing. It's not confirmed in either direction. Therefore, we do nothing. No need to trade a market that doesn't have probabilities one way or the other. Now we have sellers close by between 2015.1 to 1960.6. They've already worked to push price down at least once. And we have buyers all the way down here at 1815.8 to 1788.5. Lots of room until we hit them, so unlikely that they affect price anytime soon. But for the time being, thin dot on auto climate, not enough probabilities either way, do nothing. In terms of volatility, we'd expect movement up or down in 1 year of 19.08%. In a day, 23.2 points. In a week, 51.07 points. And in a month, 106.31 points. Again, either up or down. Okay, the next market is the US dollar. So let's load this. There we are. Okay, so the US dollar has a thick blue dot, probability upwards. What we also have is buyers beneath us that have worked 3 times now to push price up, 4 times actually. So they are between 97.85 to 97.295. They worked initially here, pushed price up, came back, pushed price up, came back, pushed price up, came back, pushed price up. That's why we want to know where the buyers are, because if price is pushed up from that area, it gives us a much more specific place where we should also be buying as well. Rather than buying in the middle of nowhere and hoping it goes up from that point, we have a clearer idea of where we should be placing our orders to buy, because it's more likely price moves up from that specific price area. So we have sellers up here that could get in the way. Once we reach them, they might push price back down. They are between 99.995 to 99.7, but we've got room until we get there. So overall, probability up there for the US dollar. In terms of volatility, we'd expect movement in a year of 8.21%. So in a day, 0.51 points. In a week, 1.12 points. And in a month, 2.34 points, up or down. Okay, last but not least is bakkt Bitcoins. Let's load this. Now, just before we look at that, just to highlight here about our platform, we call it TOP, which is the short way of saying Predictive Options Planner. If you are an options trader, this platform is especially helpful because of all of the exclusive apps and technology that's integrated into it to really help you with options. Now, I'm personally not an options trader. I trade Forex futures and stocks, and I use TOP for analysis purposes. So again, very helpful because it integrates a lot of the technology that we're using here all in one place to help us figure out what we're doing. So whatever you trade, TOP can be helpful. Check that out, see what works best for you. Okay, so bakkt Bitcoin, thick blue dot, probability upwards. However, we've got probability up coming from our climate, but again, very soon we are going to be hitting these sellers between 48,250 to 46,910, and they're going to be pushing price back down again. So, 2 competing forces, who knows which side's going to win? Nobody has a crystal ball to be able to predict that. All we know is we have less probabilities in one direction or the other. We don't have enough probabilities, in our case, the way we approach the markets, to be risking any money on a trade in this environment. So far, each of the trades that we've looked at, each of the markets that we've looked at, we've only had one of the 5 that had clear probabilities in one direction. That was the US dollar. The other ones did not have clear probabilities one way or the other, so we do nothing. No point trading if we don't have probability. Now, in terms of volatility on Bitcoin, it's really calmed down recently. There was a point where this number was over 100%. At the moment, we would expect yearly movement of 62.9%. In a day, that's 1,830.3 points. In a week, 4,029.21 points. And in a month, 8,387.48 points. So that is bakkt Bitcoin, and that is the last market that we are looking at. So for each of our markets, we've looked at 3 different elements, starting with market climate, which is where we use our auto climate app to see where we have probabilities. Where is that market likely to move? Up, down, or nowhere? We then looked at buy and sell UFOs, which are these guys, finding where buyers and sellers are that could push price back up or down, respectively. And then we've looked at market volatility, which is how quickly we expect these markets to move. Now, the last thing we should be looking at is our weekly economic calendar. This is not because we necessarily care what the news is to interpret it, but we want to know when there are scheduled news reports coming out that could affect the markets that we trade, because it tends to increase volatility. An increase in volatility is also an increase in risk. Could also be an increase in reward. It's up to you as a trader to decide what to do about it. We at least want to know when it's happening. So we get this information from Forex Street or FX Street. We filter by high impact news. So today being Monday, we've already had news come out that would have affected or could have affected the British pound or British markets early this morning, US time. At around about midday Eastern Standard Time, we have it looks like a national holiday in China that could affect the Chinese yuan and Chinese markets if you trade those markets. Be aware of that. Otherwise, nothing until early hours of the morning. So 12:30 a.m. tomorrow morning in the US. So just past midnight tomorrow morning Eastern Standard Time is news coming out on the Australian markets or Australian dollar that could affect those markets. Be aware of that. Tomorrow and further on in the week, we'll then talk about the days that are more relevant to that day that we're talking about. Any questions or anything that you want to clarify, you can email me, Becky@tradewithufos.com, or you can go to tradewithufos.com/Becky, which will take you here. You can get different apps and platforms from there. You can book one-on-one coaching. You can log in for free and ask questions, or you might find answers to your questions in here anyway. Hopefully that was helpful, helps to give context to that email, helps to give context to the way we trade, the way we view the markets, the technology that we use. Obviously very happy for any questions or to clarify anything. Otherwise, guys, I will see you for the next one of these on Thursday. So I'll see you then. Take care. Have a good trading week.